Hello and welcome and happy Teachers Day to all teachers out there. Indeed, 5th of October is World Teachers Day. And for those of you who have followed me, or those of you who know me, know I have a very, very soft spot for teachers. I have a deep admiration for teachers, and today it amuses me, or it amazes me, that as a nation, we haven't seemed to grasp the importance of a teacher. And I look at Ghana, rather from north to south, every sector, and every sector is sort of, has a challenge or has some excuse why they are not performing to the 100%. And our only answer lies at the door of a teacher, because somehow we all go through a teacher. Even teachers would have to go through a teacher. And so whatever it is you know is how much the teacher knew and imparted it into your life. If your teacher doesn't know that as a lady you have to sit and tuck in your skirt and close your leg, they may never teach you. So you may grow up not knowing that that's the etiquette. If your teacher didn't know that as a boy you have to button your shirts from down to up so that you don't miss one up, you probably grow up and miss a button all throughout. I mean, the importance of a teacher is invaluable. Somehow we also treat teaching field as a means to an end. I'm going to be a teacher, and then if something better comes along, I will leave teaching and go. Well, I failed in class. I couldn't get into doctorate, the doctorate school. I couldn't become a vet. I couldn't become a planner. So what I'll then do is I will teach for the meantime. Now that is so dangerous. And this is my quote, and I stand by it, that every society, whatever value you place on the teacher is equal and direct to the society's value. If the teacher is not important, that society may never ever be important. So as today is the World Teachers Day and we are valuing teachers and improving their status in life, we're here to find out at which point did the teacher lose that respect. Because once upon a time, the teacher was, just like the chief or the reverend in the village or the town. And then all of a sudden now the teacher has become a non-entity who gets posted begrudgingly into some village somewhere, and he just stays there for the mandatory periods and checks out as soon as he wants to check out. But how will Ghana ever realize his dream if this is the way teachers feel, and if they're going to use this profession as a stepping stone? They must change. The education revolution, the teacher revolution should begin, and it should begin like yesterday. My name is Anan Sakwal. This is PM Express. When I come back, talking to a very fine teacher. Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying, and I'm sure by my pitch you have gotten all your children to sit around the television to learn to appreciate the value of a teacher. Indeed, you and I have to appreciate the value. With me in the studio is President of NAGRAT, Angel Kabonu. Angel, happy Teachers Day.
Thank you very much.
And well, let me start by just asking, when you were growing up, did you want to become a teacher?
No, let me just correct. I'm the Vice President of NAGRAT.
Vice President of NAGRAT.
Vice President of NAGRAT. Yes. Okay. I grew up in a house of teachers. My father was a teacher. Okay. He taught music at St. Mary's Secondary School.
Okay.
My mother was a teacher, a retired teacher currently with the Catholic Education Unit. So around me, I came out from teachers. But I did not dream to become a teacher, to be very honest with you, because of the challenges that were staring glaringly at me. I thought I could get something better in terms of monetary value than what my parents were getting. So teaching was not an option. So let me also say, like most teachers did, I got into teaching grudgingly because then I felt that I was looking for something better and that I could start teaching for a while, and after some time I could get some better job to do. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've gotten stuck in it. So I've been teaching ever since.
Very good. So how long have you been teaching now?
Well, I started teaching from 1996.
Okay.
So I've been 20 years in the profession as of now, as a professional teacher.
What is it that, as a nation, I mean, I know worldwide, generally, teachers are not given their due, but let's focus on Ghana because you're in Ghana. I mean, we really sort of think of the teacher as a second option. I mean, that's how it perceives. I mean, I'm not in the teaching field, but from the outside, if you listen to the news report, the pay is not there. They've been posted, but they haven't been given the allowance of posting, the transport to do the posting, or even where to live when they get to the posting. It's as if it was an afterthought. The teacher's an afterthought. I mean, you are in the field. Is that how it is, or is that what it seems from outside?
Yeah, in the days of our fathers, and in those days, Ghana was not as developed as it is today by way of maybe roads and communities, access and all that was not as today. But our parents moved from Takwa and worked in Bebieni, moved from Bebieni and worked in Tamale. Teachers were moved from the Volta region to go and start education in Upper West region, today's Upper West region. When you talk to our fathers' age mates, they will tell you how they've been transferred from one location to the other. So the post-independent children were born in areas other than where they actually originally originated from, and so on and so forth. In those days, society was not this materialistic. And the value placed on people was not in terms of what they had materially. It was what they exude, what they gave to society. The value was in their level of morality and the people they've been able to bring up. So the teacher then was very relevant to that type of society. It is the teacher who more or less was the de facto advisor to the local chief on issues to deal with government officials and so on and so forth, interpreting correspondence that came from government officials and so on and so forth. As time went on, when society became very materialistic, where the value placed on a man or a woman in society is determined by what material possessions he can exhibit, then the focus started changing and the teacher was lacking behind, because as a typical government worker, he was not getting as much as he or she deserved, or that he could also exhibit. So he was being left behind until he lost that position of a role model to the children he even taught. And today, you will be very surprised to go to any classroom in this country, secondary school or what, and ask the kids, how many of you will want to be teachers? You'll be surprised to get 2 kids in a class of 50, choosing teaching as the first option. Because you are no longer the type, though they appreciate what you taught them, you are no longer the type of person he or she will want to be in the future. That is where the problem is.
As a country, I mean, I know because of the size of the teachers, you probably couldn't pay them all $20,000 a month, whatever it is. But should other incentives be put into to make the life of the teacher more comfortable and more admirable, so that if you ask the question, you maybe have the classroom?
Yes, that is what it should be, because we are the largest public servants in this country currently, and even though we still are the largest, we have not achieved the number of teachers that we need for this country. Because you go to certain schools and we have over bloated class sizes. You go to communities where children commute more than 5 kilometers to school. The school should be close to the communities of children so that they are motivated to go to school and see attending school as an attractive venture to engage in. So if we will want to do these things, prune class sizes down to acceptable international standards. When you read certain journals from Europe and the United States, even in a class of 25, if you want to take the 26th student, you will have to ask permission from the local authority and justify why that 26 students to be added, because they know, and it has been scientifically tested, that a small class size create a more close relationship between the teacher and the students, so that the teacher can identify special needs of children and then address them. So we have very bloated class sizes. However, the government also looks at it like, if I want to give an some incentives to this large number of teachers, and as I speak, the population of teachers in this country is almost about 200,000, almost halving the public servant population in this country. So any little incentive that government gives to, then it feels like it is too huge, or a chunk from the national budget. That is where the problem is coming from. But as you've prescribed, we can go around it. It is not necessarily the fiscal cash that gets into our bank account, but can we create certain incentives that gives them advantage over other sector workers, right? For example, if it's a policy of...
Hold on, because that's a very important, thing, that as a government, well, you own everything, and therefore certain incentives, certain tax breaks that can leapfrog the teacher to make his life more comfortable. Stay tuned and coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and joining us now is Stephen Desu, who's a prime servant of Innovative Teachers Association. Stephen has been on the show before. Stephen, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nana.
Good. But Angel was in midstream when I cut him off to go to the break. So let me go back to Angel, and we were talking about, apart from cash, because of the size, is there anything that the state can do to, alleviate a bit more pressure?
Yes, as I indicated, when you look at the schools that preceded our independence, you talk about the Mfansipans and the Adisidals and all that. The missionaries built schools and they created accommodation for teachers. That policy was followed through by the Nkrumah regime. So at least when you are teaching in schools within those area, you were assured of a place to lay your head. That was taken care of by the system. That was motivational enough. And it also helped in developing, for example, when you started and indicated that if the teacher does not teach you as a lady how to sit properly, because maybe the teacher didn't say, may not know, but we had an educational system that created added education to the curriculum, where you could teach people how to become proper human beings. And in a chat with KSM said that, look, during their age, they could speak pidgin English and speak proper English also, because they were taught how to speak proper English. All these things it's not written black and white, but you need a teacher to be with a kid to do this. Again, issues to do with soft loans and all that, so that you tell yourself that whereas I'm not making the millions, I am comfortable where I am working, and I'm also contributing to or making a change in the lives of other human beings. But all these things ought to be planned. You will have to sit down as government, as managers of education, as teacher unions, and come up with a general plan that will be followed through. Then the teacher will know that this is the benefits I get from where I work, advantage as against other places of work. So if the banker is being stressed and he's being paid $1 million, I am also getting this and I'm satisfied as a teacher. These are things that can be worked out. They don't come naturally, but it is based on the plans that is drawn and followed through.
Stephen, I'm sure you've gotten the drift of...
yes,
you've gotten the drift. We're just trying to find out why, as a nation, there isn't that much value placed on a teacher, unless the teacher is in, quote and unquote, an international school with some minister's son there. Then that teacher is sort of thought of as a second-class citizen or even a second-class worker. However, looking at the nation as it is now, I mean, we need to invest in the teacher, so that the teacher will, give us any product. Let's try to find out where it is that we miss the boat.
Well, First of all, let's take it from this point of view. Our education system is still steep in the colonial era, where teachers taught so that the reward will be given to them in heaven. But if all the teachers who are listening to the program can testify, if they could look on their appointment letters, we don't have anything like Heaven Education Service. We work for Ghana Education Service. So that's the first point. Again, the point again here is this. Someone said if you think education is expensive, you try what? Ignorance. And I think that's what Ghana is trying. We are trying a lot of ignorance, and that's the reason why we are not developing. We are not placing value on the central person called the teacher, who must be the one to ensure that the knowledge that a child needs in this era is given. But the value on a teacher does not start in a classroom. It starts from the teacher training college or the university. What kind of training are they giving there? And the training, does that equip the teacher with the skills relevant in the 21st century as other nations are moving on using education? We still talk about gold, bauxite, oil, and all the stuff that we talk about as natural resources. But we've not come into terms with the reality as in developing human resource base of the country. And that is education. And that is a slow but expensive process. And we're not ready to do that. And that's the reason why we are where we are. The number one problem we have in Ghana right now is lack of investment in our educational system. Lack of investment. Any other problem that crops up should not be called a problem, but a symptom of that major problem called lack of investment. You are using almost 96% of the budgetary allocation for education to pay salaries. So the rest, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. You construct schools in the middle of nowhere, no accommodation for teachers. There are lots of teachers who teach in rural areas, but they cannot stay in those rural areas, so they stay in nearby towns. By the time they get to school, almost it will be close to 11 o'clock. How can you perform as a teacher under these conditions? And in most circumstances, only few cars ply that road. So it means that if you are not able to get a vehicle to go to that place and come back, you'll be stuck in the school and you never get home, or you have to wait till the car gets full before you can get. So it's a hodgepodge of problems that are there, manifesting itself as symptoms of a major problem that's in the lack of investment in the education system. We are not placing value on teachers because we don't want to spend on education in Ghana. It's as simple as that.
Angel, one thing I also find is that we have reduced the whole idea of education in your ability to read and write. So the thing you mentioned, or as we talked about, the way you sit, the way you compose yourself, your posture, your tonation, the way you speak, all those things, it's like there's no time for it. Honesty, timekeeping, being loyal, there's no time for it. It's just read and write, and get out of the school system. How did we fall into that trap?
Yeah, we fell into that trap because we became a certificate holding society.
Yeah.
Where we believe that once you possess a paper that you've passed an exam, you are a well educated person. That is absolutely wrong. Nana, if you go to Europe, and I have observed education in Ireland, where school kids earn credit on activities they engage in within the community, even during holidays. And I'm now beginning to understand why school kids are earning credit based on community service. Because they want the children to know that it is not only the learning, the reading and writing, numeracy and literacy that you came here for. So you have a situation where during summer, kids plant flowers and make their communities beautiful, and they earn credit on that. They go to aged homes and contribute there. I know a kid who loved working in the psychiatric hospital. Of course, not the type of psychiatric hospital we've done for ourselves here, but then to relate with people with certain challenges and so on and so forth. By the time you finish school, you are a total human being, carved for society. Because the realities of it is, what you studied in school, reading and writing, numeracy and literacy, begins to fade out with new developments. Therefore, that is not actually the essentials of education. In the days of the missionaries, where they also set up schools not because of what they could get out of the schools, you had a situation where a lot of activities, and when I look at my mother's pictures when she was at the training college, she looked different. The way they braided their hair as girls, you could see it in the pictures. The way you are supposed to dress with your mini and your midi dressings and so on and so forth. You saw some level of uniformity, human being couched, prepared for society. Today, the parent is interested in the certificate of the kid. The kid is also interested in his certificate, and the teacher also wants to just go and dish information for the kid to pass. We have a West African Examination Council that has prescribed for us a syllabus. And once you're able to pass those, you go through. So all that the teachers do these days is to engage the kids and make sure the kids pass. We produce certificated human beings who get into the world of work, and when things begin to change, they are lost in how to adapt to the changing society. That is a major problem we need to address. We have in the education, we have the curricula and the co-curricular activities. Unfortunately, when we get into the co-curricular activities, we are found wanting. Ask yourself the question: the counseling departments of our schools, are they working? Absolutely not. In fact, people do not care a hoot about that important. A girl in my school came to me and said, what am I going to become with the subjects that I'm studying? Because I'm confused. I want to know what I will become in future. And when we sat down to discuss it, you realize that we ourselves, our teachers, are found wanting in preparing the children psychologically for the future. We need to look, and that is a very important question you've asked. We need to look at that aspect of education.
I remember I raised the issue of counseling. I used to co-host on the morning show. And some of the callers called in and thought, what are you talking about, counseling? And I was thinking, look, these kids cannot just be left to leave school without any counseling. And I was even talking about because my wife deals in gender issues and stuff. And so she went and said, look, everybody secretly, write your problems. And some of the problems there, because they had no names on it, and some of the things they were writing, I mean, they were damaged children.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in the school for them to go to and say, look, these are my issues. And, most people didn't understand.
Let me just cut it. The rules prescribe that every school should have a counselor. And that counselor should have minimal number of periods to teach so that you can have time for the kids. There should be a counseling department in the schools. Unfortunately, we do not take these seriously. Someone can be called as a counselor just because we needed to name the person as a counselor, but we don't take that department seriously in our schools, and we need to do that.
You're going to come in.
Yes, so that's the issue. I mean, the counselors we have in our school exist by name, but not in the work that they are supposed to do. They are not incentivized to work. They must be given an office where they can operate, because you cannot sit with a child in an open space where fellow students can eavesdrop on whatever the discussion that's going, between the teacher and the student. And so, based on this problem, we are all following one line, linear kind of thing, that if you don't pass your examination, you are in trouble. But proper counseling in our schools will ensure that Nana is a footballer, so we train your abilities in football. You understand? You are a singer, we train your abilities in singing. This one is an athlete, so we train his abilities in athletics and all that. But we are not doing that in our schools. If you go to most of our schools, all the playing fields are being converted into buildings. Now, as we speak, the children do not have even space to exercise or play football or engage in any, sporting activity that can enhance the ability to be somebody different from what those who are following the linear distance. So for me, it's boils down to the same thing. The government does not have the money to invest in the things that we want to be seen in our schools.
Sylvia, let me stay with you. You see, the average parent who will say that his MPP or NDC chairman has been locked up in police quarters anywhere in the country, and therefore they will sit in the bars and go and stand there and demand that, listen, if you don't release this man, we're not going home. That parent would never go and stand in front of any school to say, listen, if you don't bring chalks or if you don't pay the teachers, you know, we're not going to go home. So I don't know. So maybe is it, as parents, we are getting the education that we deserve?
Well, it's not really the case. It's leadership here. I once said on CTFM that, you know, the kind of educational system that we have in Ghana right now is intentional. The politicians we have do not want the people to be enlightened. So people who are enlightened are dangerous to what they are doing. So that's the reason why they will, congregate in front of a police station and fight for the politician and not demand that there must be laboratories in junior high schools or ICT labs or libraries for students in the school. We just construct the schools, we commission it. And we're interested in the brick and mortar. But the substance of what goes in the school, we are not interested. So it brings school feeding. You have to clap for you. But what is the substance of what they are learning? Are they there to play football and go home? Are they there to just jump around and just go home? What is actually taking place in the school? And look, it comes back to the teacher. The teacher is constantly agitated because it has been a hobby since time immemorial that government over the years just want to make the teacher angry all the time. As we speak now, there are many of our teachers who are owed arrests. For years, the arrests have not been paid.
Yeah, somebody just sent
and so,
a message.
That's one, too. We have to remind government that you owe teachers, you have to pay. That's one, too. It has become a constant reminder that you owe people that you have to pay. For some of us, we think that there can only be a problem with the employer, but not the teacher. Teachers have done no wrong. Everything boils down to the employer. We don't employ teachers here. Somebody employs teachers into the classroom. So if things are not going on well, the employer ought to be blamed. And the constant, agitation by teachers, it brought, down to some of these problems that we have. That if you don't give motivation to teachers, the lectures that is coming their way to, you are not giving them. So how do you want them to deliver in a classroom? Let me give you an example. You recruit a teacher from the university, and for 21 months, no salary. How do you expect that teacher to teach? What do you expect the teacher to eat? Where do you expect the teacher to stay? For 21 months.
Wow. And
yes, sometimes even 30 months. Yes, that's the reality. And these are the teachers whose papers are being worked on for them to be paid. So these are the realities on the ground. If we value teachers, we wouldn't give chalk to teachers in this modern era to go and teach. Because the chalk is inimical to the health of teachers. That's the reality. We simply do not value teachers. After all, they will ask themselves, who are those who become teachers in Ghana? Teaching in Ghana has become the job for the poor man's son or the poor man's daughter. That's the reality. Because the average middle class family will never send their kids to training college or university to train as a teacher. So this is the crux of the matter. We've taken teachers for granted for so long, and so the job is unattractive, as I said, as I was working in. So even the kids who teach do not want to be teachers. And that is the tragedy.
Let me go on the phone and speak to Mr. Michael Nsoa, who's a former Director General, Ghana Education Service. Michael, you're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Nsoa, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
We are talking about a very, very important subject. If I were to take the most important subject in this country, which is the subject matter of teacher, and on World Teachers Day today, we are just trying to figure out why it is that as a country, we have made the teacher the second-class, citizen. But you've been in the industry for so long. From you, I just want to find out, can we ever turn it around, or we've locked ourselves in a downward trend?
You see, like the teacher slogan says, all the people who boast, lawyers, medical officers, everybody, the teacher taught them all. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the teacher is being treated unfairly. Let me just give you a recent example. The results, like the WASSCE results and Becky results.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's giving any praise to the teacher because they think the children have passed, isn't it?
Yeah.
The children have passed. The ministry says out of the number that wrote BEC, 99% qualified to go to the secondary schools. It's an achievement, but nobody's praising the teacher. But the teacher has worked under so much difficulty. I worked under very difficult conditions to be able to give that result. And nobody remembers the teacher. Like I heard some of the panelists members saying, how come somebody is given an appointment letter, but is not paid for 2 years? And we think it is normal. We think it is normal because we have no regard for the teacher. After all, what the teacher has done for this country. It's a sad story of the teacher. But I will urge my colleagues that let us soldier on, because I wouldn't say our reward is in heaven, but when we do good work, people will continue to remember for the good things that we've done for this country.
What can we do to turn it around so that the society, the country, the government, the parent, and even the students would put value on the teacher and then treat them as such? Monetary-wise, incentive-wise, what can we do? Because it seems to be just it's an excuse due to financial constraints, and then we move on to the following year and the story is the same.
Yeah. It is sad. Sometimes when you say this, they think you're doing politics. Since when did this nation experience this kind of situation where, teachers are posted and there's no salary? And then people turn around to say, they have not been verified. We have not got clearance. Look, you see, all those people who say these things, it means they are ignorant. They don't know what, they are not fit to be in charge of education, because it has never happened in our history. It's only a recent development. Why is it so? Because the people who are supposed to manage it are not competent. Because since Bogisbert times up to this time, it's only in recent years that you find this sort of thing. And then you give excuses that they have not been verified and no clearance.
How long does it take? I mean, how long does it take to verify or clear a teacher? Because I think sometimes it takes unusually too long.
You see, my friend, the truth of the matter is that at the end of every year, when budget is made, we take care of teachers already in the system, and we also project the number of teachers that are going to join the system, because we still have vacancies. And whether we like it or not, as long as people will continue to bring forth children, the nation has a responsibility to look after them. So from budgets, right down from colonial days to this time, all these things are taken care of. Now we are being told, the government has done well. This year alone, we have produced 16,500. Where did they get the figure from? 16,500. If nobody knows them. And then they turn around that, we haven't got clearance. When in the budget, the people who are in charge of budget preparation are able to predict or are able to make projections for the amount of money that will be needed to take care of these extra teachers or newly trained teachers. And then people turn around to say that they haven't got clearance. I will tell you, anybody who says that is not fit to be in that job. Because, yes, you need clearance, but the clearance is already there. Your vote has been approved by Parliament as part of the budget. So when these new teachers are going to be added, you go in and you see that your vote is still there, and therefore all they do is to give you the go-ahead. And it takes about 2 months, at most 3 months. Then you get your salary. Because when you go in, you know that by Christmas you will need to do a lot of things for your family to show that now you are also of age and therefore can take care of yourself and that. Now, Christmas is, you are given appointment in September. By Christmas, you are still a beggar in your family. When in fact, you should be celebrating with your family members that now you have come of age. So it is sad. So I don't want to hear anybody talking to me about they have not been verified, they have no clearance. They don't know their job.
I mean, lastly, before
their job.
Mr. So, lastly, before I let you go,
and then so that we don't get angry.
Lastly, before I let you go,
it has never happened since colonial times.
Is it only with teachers, or does other?
Let the teachers continue to, work like volunteers.
Hello, Mr. Sowa, can you hear me? Mr. Sowa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Very
you.
good. Is it only with teachers, or do other departments also have it? Let's say maybe nurses or agric officers or civil servants. Do other people get it, or is it just the teachers in particular get it? More hard. This delayed payments.
You see, there's some truths nobody is telling Ghana, because it doesn't happen. It has never happened in the history of this country. Ministry of Health, Ministry of this, even the running a budget for running for administration, that is running the offices. It is, sometimes it's very difficult to running. Look, I went to a district education office. I wanted just a list of schools in the district, primary and junior secondary school, for some study. And the man was going to print the list for me. It took about 30 minutes. When he came, he came with 4 sheets of foolscap, 4 sheets, just 4. Then he put it in the printer, and then he went back to another room to collect something. When he came back, another officer had taken one of the sheets. As soon as he saw it, he exclaimed, "Hey, no!" I said, "Why?" So it's only 4 sheets I got. So if somebody has taken it, it means I can't do the work. That's how bad it is. How bad it is for administration of this. No wonder the district education directors recently at their conference in Kumasi complained that for 3 years they've not had any money to run their offices, and they'll go around secondary schools begging for paper in order to write their letters.
Mr. Sowa, thank you so much for that insight.
Somebody must tell Ghanaians why it is so, because when the budget is read, you all hear the applause from the members of parliament. So what happens to that money that has been approved?
Thank you.
It's approved every year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowa. Thank you. Let me come to studio and let me go to Angel. Angel, now I'm trying to find out, can we ever turn it around, or we are stuck in it?
I'm confident that we will be able to turn it around if we are committed to and get focused to what we do.
But then, you see, I don't know whether it has to start from parents agitating, teachers agitating, or those at the top just realizing. I don't know. Where would it trigger from?
It will have to start from all of us to have a principle in life and to identify education as very, very important. Because if we have parents who, for example, the example you gave, that when a party chairman is arrested, you have party supporters getting onto a bus.
Who are all parents.
And they go there to ensure that their party chairman is released. But they are less concerned about development of their children in their schools. It tells you that we've lost focus as a society and that we have misplaced priorities. We need to refocus, get onto the rail, and move the way we are supposed to move. For example, how many parents visit the schools of their kids to assess the situation as to what type of education their kids are being given? How many parents even engage in some conversation with the teachers of their kids to see what are the learning needs of the kids? We need to have a change in society. The government will also have to identify education as one of the most important platforms of changing society. Teachers themselves will also have to be reoriented and realize that we are in a technological age. The children are hyper kids.
Let me, to come in here, but can we change the system around where, your crop, go into teaching rather than, I mean, I've met some teachers that I think, my goodness, you shouldn't be allowed in any classroom.
It is because, as you indicated from the beginning, people took this profession as a stepping stone. Because if this profession is a well-developed profession, certain people wouldn't have gotten into the profession in the first place. But like, of course, in other organizations, even in the priesthood, Catholic priesthood, we still have questionable characters. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Priests are not supposed.
There should be the minimum.
There should be the minimum.
Yeah.
I agree with you absolutely that there are people in this profession who are not supposed to be in this profession. They do not have content. They do not have methodology. They do not have what it takes to even superintend over kids. They are not supposed to be there. But what is the supervisory role of management? To be able to identify these characters and weed them out of the system. If even management do not have the resources to be able to get into the schools to identify these characters. So that's what Mr. Nsua was talking about. That when we do not have the resources into the system becomes starved and the system is not able to do what it is supposed to do. I agree with you absolutely. There are people in this profession, like there are people in medical profession who are not supposed to be there. There are nurses in the hospitals who are not supposed to be there. There are people in media who are not supposed to be in the media.
Definitely.
There's a problem of society.
Definitely. I mean, Anis Hafa always says, look, in the Scandinavian countries, it's actually easier to choose medicine because before they unleash you into the formative years of school, my God, you should be AAA star before they allow you there. And you can understand why. Because you are the one going to form the generation of that country. So you must know, you can't be ignorant. Are we far?
Well, that's when it comes from a mindset. Okay, it's a mindset problem. So a mindset that does not put premium on education. That's what we have in Ghana. We can turn it around. The question was, we can turn it around if leadership get the understanding that with the gold, the bauxite, the oil, and everything we have in the country, we can only develop if we took education seriously. Ghanaians are not in the commanding heights of...
But you see, leadership is okay. Our leadership is such that as soon as you get in, you're okay. But the law protects you, it almost insulates you from reality. So it becomes very difficult. I don't know.
It shouldn't be. The thing is this: when you come to power, you are leader of a country. There are some priorities that you have to take as in. I mean, order of priority. You have to take those things seriously. And education is one of the first things that you have to consider, because that is where other professionals will come from. The point here is this: Ghanaians are not in the commanding height of industry. The economy is in the hands of foreigners. Because what you are doing now is that you are training people just to get a job, to work for foreigners, whilst they make the money and take it out. And you are wondering why the city is depreciating all the time. It is because Ghanaians are not in the commanding height of the economy. And when your citizens are not in charge of the economy, your city, your currency will not, appreciate. It always depreciate because you have to change the money and send it abroad for their shareholders, for them to share the money there. But you see, the point I'm trying to raise here is this. What is the cost of education right now if you want to go the way the Scandinavians have gone or the Asian tigers have gone? Because if you go into the story very well, you will see that for every country in Asia that has developed, education is part of it.
Started it, actually.
Yes. Education is the platform or the springboard that, spearheaded their development. What are we doing in this country? What are you doing? So we can turn it around. It all boils down to the top.
I will want to start from the base. I will want us to look at the local communities, the villages. And if you have a basic school in your community, could you bring somebody, a very good teacher you have identified, to talk to the parents and the teachers in that school? And see whether... I took this from the Catholic public schools where the Reverend Father is the local manager. And I see that when I compare the mission public schools to the local authority public schools, the mission public schools are doing better than the local authority public schools because of the church supervision. So could we also come down to our villages and our communities and start from there, from the primary school?
Well, as
do we have all the teachers?
The whole supervision thing should be done at the district level.
Yes.
This whole thing of having national inspectorate to blah, blah,
it's
blah.
absolutely waste of resources.
I mean, why? Can you visit every school and check what teachers are doing there? But there's a dangerous thing happening in the education system. Politics. There are teachers who have aligned themselves into political parties and they're untouchable. Because whenever they are wrong, they can just pick a call and just call somebody, a party chairman somewhere, who will call the DCU, call someone to influence somebody, they cannot be punished. That is the reality of when they come to postings, the same thing. Somebody can just take a phone, call this one, call that one, and listen, this is my nephew, put him here, and this is done.
But let me go back to what Angel said with regards to, as a chief, and I'm a chief of Edumasa, and we were having so much problems with education. And I realized that there was a massive disconnection between my town folks and my teachers. They were literally enemies.
That's right.
They just saw them as people just there.
That's right.
So we had series of meetings, and I realized that the parents were leaving all the responsibility on the teacher.
Yes.
So we had to talk and let the parents understand what their responsibility is. Then the next thing that came up was realize that the teachers needed training.
That's right.
So we got Jollyphonics to come in and train the teachers.
Absolutely.
And so I want to say big congratulations to Isaac Kwachi Chum, who's the headmaster for the primary school, who's grasped hold of this thing. They've done 2 trainings so far, and suddenly all the children can read.
That's right.
But that interaction must really come in.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If teachers, the training that was given to the teachers, they've gotten some self-confidence. If they could create a continuous link between the teachers and leadership of parents, they'll be able to understand the needs of the parents more. And the parents will also be able to understand the needs of the teachers more and understand that they are fighting for the common good of those children. And the way you've begun, if we could have such training for the teachers periodically, and you yourself as a chief, you visit the teachers and see their needs. You may not be able to solve all their needs, but at least listening to them is half the problem solved. Within the next 5 years, the type of results that will be produced at Edumasa, I'm sure Jakiti and all the other villages around you will start rushing to find out what is happening at Edumasa. This is what I'm talking about. Let the local communities take the commanding height of the education of their children, and let the authorities know that we are the first victims of a failed student, and therefore we will want to handle it in this way. The moment we begin doing that, competition will begin developing among the villages and the communities, and every community will want to behave like the other community in terms of performance. I can assure you, I have so much confidence in the public education system. If we do it right, I can assure you we will get to where we want to get to. And Nana, what you said, I think it will feature in some of the activities that we are going to engage in as a union, because there is a need for us to link up with the local communities and see how we can solve those problems at the local community. Once you get your basic education system right, you have all the other education system right for you.
Yeah, so I want to say, thank you to, Isaac Kwachi Chum. He's done really good. He's been, constant in touch. We need this, need that, and an improvement has really, really shown. I want to say thank you very much to Jollyphonics too, who have been very grateful in coming to train the teachers. And indeed, the whole district is now adopting it. So from Edumasa, when the results came up, the Jekiti circuit took over, and now the whole of Siojama is doing Jollyphonics, so hopefully it will grow. And I want to say thank you very much to Reverend Isaac Seth Ejikum, who's the Presbyterian Reverend there, who's also helping with the school. So we are all teaming up and making sure we have a winner there. So thank you guys, because I can't do it alone, you see. I can't do it alone. But you see, when we had the first meeting, you were shocked to see how much responsibility had just been left for the teacher.
That's it. That's it.
The parent thought once I've given birth, the rest
is for the teacher.
It's for the teacher.
That's it. That is where the problem comes. You see, the advantage private schools have over public school is that once the parent is doling out that much money, he is more interested in the outcomes. If the parents in the public basic schools are interested in the outcomes and they visit the schools, not to be antagonistic, but establish a cordial relationship with the teachers, I can assure you we'll get there.
Oh, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. It's been exciting. And I just wish that there was more time to talk about, these, the weightier matters, as Jesus would have said that these are the weightier matters. Because if Ghana is ever going to realize his dream, the teacher must first realize his dream. Otherwise, you and I will never live to see the Ghana we want to see. But always, Tantis is the one that supplies me my shirt. And to reach Tantis, 024-366-2001, 024-366-2001. Give Tantis a call, give them your shirt size, and wherever you are, they will post you your shirt. But they are just near Nyao Clinic at Airport. But gentlemen, happy Teachers Day to you all.
Thank you very much.